Hey everyone, Red Rebel Jeff Jones here, and in this video I want to talk about the so-called rise of the far right in Ireland and pretty much debunking what the media and politicians claim about the far right in Ireland. Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost. So to start off, I think it's important to talk about what do we mean by far right. I think this is something that the actual government and the news media are intentionally being ridiculously vague about. So, what actually is far right? Far right is defined as anarchism, i.e., that people who are far right don't believe that government should have any control at all, that there shouldn't be a government. However, that is far from what anti immigrant protests are. They think the government should be stricter on immigration. So, by definition, it's actually disagreeing with the far right. But also, let's talk about the so called rise of the far right that we keep hearing about. And the fact that it's not actually happening. The far right isn't rising. They're a very small minority. Now, I will say this, Ben Scallon with Gript Media did an amazing video on this. I will link it down below. And he talks about the Europol reports, which I will talk about here. And he lays it out really well. According to the Europol reports, which they do a terrorism, they track terrorist arrests around Europe. And in Ireland, between the years of 2012 and 2022, 81, that's just over actually, I think it's 81.1 or something, of terrorist arrests are dissident Republicans. Now I'm going to have to describe that a bit better. Dissident Republicans are actually far left. They're socialists and they're Marxists, and they openly claim this. They're revolutionaries, like Marxism, like Marx was, like Lenin was, but not kind of the good kind of revolutionaries. So, over 81% of the arrests for terrorism in Ireland between 2012 and 2022 were far left individuals. So, what about the rest? 13.2% were Islamists, were radical Islamists. Now, to clarify this, that's mostly because they are the funders of terrorist groups around the world, like groups like ISIS, like Hamas, like Hezbollah. So that's usually what those arrests are for. It's mostly for the funding of terrorism, not the enactment of terrorism. So when it comes to the rest is about there's about 5.7% left. It's just under 2% that is far right, according to the Europol reports. And the remaining, about 3.8%, are not specified. That they were arrested, but it's not specified what kind of political point of view they had or what ideology they belonged to. But yet we are constantly hearing about the rise of the far right. So why do the news media and politicians make that claim? Well, the main reason is that they want to disparage those who disagree with them. Basically, the definition of far right that they use is anyone who disagrees with them, especially on issues like immigration. And here's actually the thing. There are genuine concerns around immigration, but the news media and especially politicians do not want to talk about those concerns because it'll give credence to those who disagree with government policy. But the immigration conversation is definitely something that needs to be had. I think it does a huge disservice to the people of this country to not have it. So, what do you guys think? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and do not forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. Politicians and the news media's description of immigration protesters and the, of all of them being far right, racist extremists, it doesn't actually match with the ideology that they're talking about. They're talking about anarchism, which doesn't fit with what is being protested. Now, I will say this, the left does do this all the time, the radical left, in that they'll use phrases like sexism, like racism, like far right, like fascist, like Nazi, when the definition of those terms are in, inaccurate to use in those particular situations. The reason they do use those terms is to disparage the points of view of anyone who disagrees with them. And I think that is such a serious mistake that they're making. And that is why these protests have gotten bigger, more heated, a lot more tension now, and some of them does lead to violence. Same things have happened over in the UK. Because when we see people who commit horrific crimes, like the stabbing that took place up in Dublin a couple of months ago, like we need to have this conversation. That guy should have been deported, but they just didn't pop. Conversations about immigration need to happen. And the more the government avoids that conversation, the more heated and the more the more damaging this disagreement will get.